How's it going, everybody? Thank you very much for watching. I'm Orlando Ruiz Jr. Welcome to another classic movie review. This is my review of a movie that came out in 1981, a thriller from director Brian DePalma, who's made some great films in his time. Movies like 1976's Carrie, 1987's The Untouchables, a lot of cool gangster movies. He even did Carlito's Way, which I really love. Uh, Dressed to Kill from 1980, a great thriller starring Michael Caine. And I believe he also directed the first Mission Impossible movie, among others. So he's made some great films, and this movie, Blowout from 1981, is definitely one of De Palma's best works, in my opinion. And John Travolta plays Jack Terry in this movie. He is the main star of the film, and in my opinion, it's one of the best performances in Travolta's career, up there with Tony Manero and Vincent Vega. His characters from Saturday Night Fever and Pulp Fiction. At the opening of the movie, Travolta's character Jack is having a conversation with the director as they're watching dailies for the latest movie they just worked on. And the dailies show a woman who's screaming in it's like a horror movie, and she requires her to scream because it's like a death scene. And the actress in the scene is terrible. And so the director says, you got to find me another screamer. And he also says, I need you to go get me some wind, more wind sounds. And the sound effects of the screaming is something that comes into play later on in the film. This movie just isn't a great paranoia thriller, but it's also sort of a commentary on filmmaking itself. So Jack takes his recording equipment out late at night and starts to record any sounds that he can pick up for the movie that he's working on. And he has a very powerful microphone. He kind of points it out, and he picks up all kinds of sounds around him. There's even a couple that walks by, and there's a woman that spots him, and they just kind of think nothing of it. The guy's like, "Oh, it's just some guy out." Almost looks like he's pointing a gun the way he's aiming that microphone around, but they don't really seem to be worried. But so yeah, he picks up all kinds of little sounds, even a hooting owl that's nearby, and it's a really beautiful shot with a close up of the owl's face, and you see Travolta behind him at kind of a distance, kind of a two shot. And the cinematography in this movie, particularly in this scene, and then towards the end, it's beautiful shots throughout this movie, and it's just a great looking movie all around in terms of the visual style. Vilmos Zsigmond, I believe, did the cinematography, and really excellent work. So as Jack is recording the night, trying to pick up whatever sounds he can, all of a sudden he hears a loud kind of a kind of a bang, and sees a car on a bridge nearby, and the car goes through the rails and into water underneath. Watching this happen, Jack's immediate reaction is to put his equipment down and runs down and goes into the water to see if he can help and save a life. And he goes down and sees two people, sees a woman in the back seat. He starts to run out of air, so he goes up, comes up for air, and then he goes back down to save the woman. And so he gets her out of the car, and by the time he gets her, the other person in the car is pretty much done for. And there's a really great shot too of him running down, and as you see him running down under the underpass towards the water, you see another person in the shadows kind of lurking and starts to walk out of the shot. And it's really cool because right away they're letting us know that there's more to what you're seeing in terms of this accident and what's going on, and there's just more at work here. So Jack gets the woman to the hospital, and it turns out that she's going to be all right. She's got some minor injuries, but when he's questioned by the police, they're not too happy with his story. And as it turns out, the other person in the car happened to be a senator with a family and kids, and the person responsible for taking care of this senator's, uh, I guess, public relations talks to Jack and tells him that he would prefer that Jack do not disclose anything with anybody and just keep everything a secret for the sake of the politician's family. And it doesn't sit very well with Jack at first. You can tell that he's kind of a person of integrity and does want to tell people what the real story is, but they kind of wear him down in this scene, and he just kind of decides to go along with it at this moment. And then he decides to go and talk to Sally, the girl that nobody wants to have been there. So he goes and meets her, and it's a very sweet scene between the two of them. Travolta and Nancy Allen, who plays Sally, the woman who was in the car, they have really great chemistry, and it feels very genuine. You can tell that he does sort of seem to care about the person that he just saved and cares about what happens to her. So Jack goes back to get his equipment and goes back home and listens to the recording that he made that night of the accident. And when he hears it again, he stumbles upon something that lets him know that maybe this wasn't just an accident. And he thinks that maybe there's other people that might be interested. And to his amazement, as it turns out, nobody really wants to know the truth because there is more to what happened than everybody is trying to let on. And he has proof in his recording that before the sound of the tire blowout, before the car went through the rails into the water, there was a bang that happens right before. And so he suspects that the tire was shot out and that this was no accident, that this was an assassination. And he tries to get this evidence, this audio recording, to a police officer who gives him a lot of guff about it. Of course, there's kind of a heated discussion there, and the guy decides to take his recording anyways. But when he gets it back, surprise, surprise, the important part of that recording is gone. It's been erased. And that's when Jack starts to realize that there's a conspiracy at play to keep him quiet and keep the truth from coming out. Jack tries to find out more information from Sally about what really happened, but Sally really isn't telling him everything, and Jack kind of can sense that a bit, and so he doesn't give up. He continues to try and seek the truth, and meantime, someone arrives in town who is hell bent on keeping people silent in the form of the very creepy John Lithgow. And John Lithgow can be very funny when he wants to be, as we all know from Third Rock from the Sun, great sitcom from the 90s. So yeah, when he wants to be funny, he can be hilarious. But when he wants to be a creepy bad guy, those of you that may have seen Ricochet from 1990 or 1993's Cliffhanger, great action movie, he also makes a terrific, scary bad guy, and he's definitely got this creepy presence in Blowout. The director of this movie, Brian DePalma, was very much influenced and inspired by Alfred Hitchcock, and you can very much tell in his work and in a lot of his films. And I think there's a little bit of James Bond influence, especially in this film, because uh, Lithgow's character, his assassin character, has a very cool method of taking out his victims, and it's a method that harkens back to From Russia with Love, the second Bond movie, where there's a character played by Robert Shaw, Red Grant, who has this wristwatch with this wire that comes out to strangle victims, and it's just a nice little touch that they threw into this movie that I really appreciate. Another noteworthy thing about this movie is the music score by Pino Donaggio. It's very subtle at times, but also really great at building tension and doesn't take away from the movie in terms of, sometimes music in a thriller can be a little too over the top and a little too on the nose and can make a movie feel kind of generic. And that's not the case with this movie. It only sort of adds to the experience because um, it's very much in, like I said, you could tell that this filmmaker loves Hitchcock, and the music is sort of kind of evocative and almost pays homage to the Hitchcock thrillers of the old days. So that's definitely something I noticed with this music score. And yeah, so great music. I mentioned the cinematography is quite excellent. There's some great camera work in some of the final scenes in the movie, in particular with a shot done sort of pointed up towards Travolta as you see a beautiful fireworks display in like a 360 rotating shot. One of the greatest shots I've ever seen come out of the 80s. And yeah, it's just an all-around great thriller. So for those of you that would like to see something like that, if you enjoy a good like Hitchcock style type of thriller, but done more of a in a contemporary fashion, and yeah, not too contemporary because it's been a long time since the 80s, but this is a great thriller nonetheless, and highly recommend it. It's 4 stars in my opinion, and yeah, Blowout from 1981, great Brian DePalma film. Highly suggest people check it out. I do have the Blu-ray, so that's what that looks like. And yeah, just a great film. Highly recommend people check it out. I know it's on streaming because I've come across it in the past once or twice. But yeah, that's Travolta in a very messy room there. And so yeah, 1981's Blowout. Highly recommend you guys give it a watch. So yeah, that'll do it for this review. Thank you very much for watching. And for those of you that are new to this channel, please subscribe if you're into this kind of thing and look out for more reviews because I'm always talking about classic movies, movies from back in the day, from the 30s, 40s, on into the 80s and 90s. And as far as that goes, I always felt like these old movies don't get enough uh, attention. So that's basically what this channel is all about, is putting a little spotlight on these old gems from back in the day. And so if you're into that kind of thing, hit that bell and subscribe, and look out for more reviews. And please don't forget to like, share, comment, and let me know in the comment section favorite Travolta movie. So that'll do it for me. Thank you very much and have a great one. Take care. Peace out.